The National Desk, America's News Now.
Bring on the games. The 2024 Paris Olympics have begun. The history being made and the message to aspiring athletes as the world comes together. Then, a presidential election season like no other. Vice President Kamala Harris's record comes into focus.
And when we look across at what Donald Trump is offering, the contrast is stark.
Will her background as the AG of California help or hurt in the 100-day race to the finish line? Surprising benefit. Why a shingles vaccination for people 50 and over could have a lasting positive effect for those at risk of another crippling condition. This is the National Desk, America's News Now. I'm Amira David. The 2024 Paris Olympics Games expected to see over 1 billion people around the world tune in, and they have officially begun, finishing just a short while ago the first of its kind opening ceremony that featured 7 of the 10,000 athletes that will be competing in nearly 100 boats traveling down the Seine River right through the heart of Paris. Tonight will be a celebration of the athletes, but also a celebration of the history that is being made. As we learn, this will be the first Olympics in which all 32 sports have equal numbers of men and women competing. There are 5,250 slots for each male and female, a long sought after milestone in an effort to engage more women in the elite competition. Former USA ice hockey Olympic medalist Angela Ruggiero, advocating for more equality, says it's about inspiring little girls.
What we're doing by including women that look like everyone and all shapes and sizes and all religions is, I think, setting the tone and the platform for young people to think about the future.
And there will be many talented women and men to root for tomorrow during the first full day of games. NBC's primetime coverage kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern tonight. The Park Fire in Northern California is now the biggest fire in the state, having spread to more than 164,000 acres. There are multiple evacuation orders and warnings in Butte and Tehama counties. The wildfire started late Wednesday. Investigators saying a 42-year-old man from Chico has been arrested in connection to starting that fire. And check out this video, a time-lapse recording by Alert California showing a fire tornado in that fire in Butte. This can happen when the intense heat from the fire rises in one area so fast that it creates a vacuum effect, sucking in air from around it, which then creates a vortex, spinning smoke around like you'd see in an actual tornado. In Oregon, meantime, across the state, 36 wildfires currently uncontrolled, as well as another 10 further north in Washington, leading to spots of very unhealthy and even hazardous air quality in the eastern parts of both states. Air Now forecasts a drastic improvement in air quality by tomorrow, but still registering unhealthy levels of toxins in the air from the smoke. Good news from the cybersecurity firm responsible for that crippling tech outage that crashed 8.5 million computers worldwide. CrowdStrike says more than 97% of Windows sensors are now back online. Last week, CrowdStrike pushed out a computer update that was defective, leading to the global outage that's estimated to have caused more than $5 billion in losses. The outage caused a nightmare for thousands of travelers flying, particularly for passengers on Delta. The company had to cancel more than 5,000 flights over multiple days. Tonight, the Department of Transportation examining a misstep by the company, failing to notify customers of their rights to a refund in a text message sent to passengers. Vice President Kamala Harris's past record as a prosecutor is under the microscope right now, especially because she is looking more like the Democratic nominee for president. As national correspondent Matt Gelka tells us, it'll be a likely battle over branding from now until Election Day. Was she too tough or not tough enough?
As Kamala Harris's campaign takes shape, so does the narrative she'll look to form over the next 3+ months.
I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
Her critics, though, including the former president, will counter by going after her record on crime.
She's got a new line, you know. She's going, I'm the prosecutor. She's one of the worst prosecutors in history. She destroyed San Francisco.
Trump campaign spokesman Stephen Chung called her soft as Charmin on crime in a post on social media. Other critics say her policies as a city attorney in San Francisco and California Attorney General led to a crime wave. Harris also received criticism during her 2020 presidential run for not being progressive enough on law enforcement issues, something she tried to counter by being sympathetic to the defund the police movement.
It is outdated and is actually wrong and backward to think that more police officers will create more safety.
She later distanced herself from the movement after she became Joe Biden's running mate. But as voters signal they might be open for a tougher on crime approach, a contrast to Trump and a shift to leaning into a tougher record could be a way to flip the script on the attacks claiming she's soft.
She's the district attorney who protected children from sexual predators. She's the attorney general who stood up to the big banks to protect homeowners and won.
And Amira, it's not clear what narrative will win out, but Americans are likely to see plenty of ads about it. Politico reports a pro-Trump group is spending about $70 million from now until Labor Day on ads about Harris's record, and a group backing the vice president is spending about $50 million in just the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's a question of which narrative will prevail. Matt, any explanation for the shift away from the more progressive law enforcement reforms that she was touting 4 years ago?
Well, polling in recent events may indicate that Democrats have shifted as a whole. We've seen some successful recalled efforts on so-called progressive prosecutors in California, and polling shows that crime and safety is an issue on voters' minds. A Pew Research poll from earlier this year showed 58% of people thought reducing crime is something the president and Congress should focus on. Amira?
All right, live in Washington, D.C. for us, Matt Gelka, thank you. And tonight, an autopsy report of the Illinois woman who was fatally shot by police inside her home confirms that she did in fact die from a gunshot wound to the head. Sonia Massey was killed on July 6th after police responded to her 911 call about a possible prowler. Body camera footage shows things just took a turn after a tense moment involving a boiling pot of water. Court records show the deputy that shot her didn't render aid after the shooting and discouraged his partner from doing so, something Massey's son and his attorney say leaves them in disbelief.
I've seen videos before of this happening, and they give them first aid right after it happens. Why? I don't understand why he would do that.
It's so inhumane, without remorse.
The deputy, Sean Grayson, was terminated after authorities said he did not act as trained nor in accordance with standards. In 90 days, a new law goes into effect in Ohio that will crack down on street racing and police chases all over the state. The National Desk's Lydia Bice has more on why the law was necessary, along with the concerns from police about making the law work.
So what it does is it increased penalties. So before, if you ran from the police, there wasn't a whole lot of consequence. Now if you run from the police, it's a third-degree felony. You're going to go to prison.
On Wednesday, Governor Mike DeWine signed House Bill 56 into law, which will provide harsher penalties for those involved in police chases or hooning, also known as reckless driving, that has grown in popularity on social media.
The second part of it is the hooning, that street takeover stuff where we're seeing them doing donuts, and we're seeing these dirt bikes and four-wheelers taking over our streets. Well, that has gone from a traffic ticket to first-degree misdemeanor. So now the deputies and Dayton officers can take you to jail.
We asked the Dayton Fraternal Order of Police how beneficial this new law will be, especially as the city has seen as many as 58 police chases in 1 year, along with numerous hooning takeovers on our streets, like this one from Dayton in 2023.
As you know, with this hooning and all the crowds, how dangerous it can be. They take over the streets. Definitely potential to disrupt innocent taxpayers' lives or get people hurt.
But Sergeant Thomas says police action isn't enough. Prosecutors have to take it more seriously.
We'll have to see how that is actually handled when we go to prosecution and we go into court. You know, typically here in Montgomery County, we have pretty liberal sentencing, things that you don't see in our adjacent counties.
An early morning fire at a strip mall in Fair Lawn, New Jersey has damaged or destroyed multiple businesses. A fire breaking out at 2:40 a.m. and was under control by 6 in the morning, but not before at least 3 establishments went up in flames, including a restaurant, a barber shop, and a bakery that was set to celebrate its 19th anniversary tomorrow. At this hour, no reports of injuries. The cause of the fire, meantime, still under investigation. The Nebraska Supreme Court upholds the law restricting both medical care for transgender youth and abortion. Planned Parenthood and the ACLU have been urging the court to overturn the 12-week abortion ban and restrictions on care for transgender youth because the two measures were put on the same law, defying state rules. The court did agree that abortion and gender-changing care are separate medical decisions, but did not agree that the law violates the state's single-subject rule because they are both medical care. It's been 2 weeks since the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, what he had to say about going back to the place where it happened. And could federal legislation fight an obesity epidemic? We take an inside look into the bill that looks to slim down America. Plus, organic life in space, where scientists believe they may have some answers on whether or not living organisms could be outside of Earth. We're back in 90 seconds. This just in, Donald Trump is headed back to Butler, Pennsylvania, where he has vowed to hold a rally in the very same location where he was shot 2 weeks ago. The timing of the rally is not yet set, but it comes as we are still learning new pieces of information about how that assassination attempt happened. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins joining us now with a look at the very latest.
The nays are 0.
Every single member of the House of Representatives voting yes to setting up a bipartisan task force to investigate the assassination attempt of Donald Trump.
It necessitates a specific precision, precise and quick action by the Congress.
The former president tearing into FBI Director Christopher Wray for raising questions as to whether or not a bullet actually hit him.
With respect to former President Trump, there's some question about whether or not it's a bullet or shrapnel that hit his ear.
Wray making the comments to Congress during a hearing Wednesday. Trump responding on Truth Social, writing, "It was, unfortunately, a bullet that hit my ear and hit it hard." Trump also using the post to attack Wray and the FBI, ending with, No wonder the once storied FBI has lost the confidence of America. Trump physician Ronnie Jackson giving his take to Fox News.
It was absolutely a bullet. I examined it. It was a track of a bullet. It was scooped out just as it would be in the track of a bullet.
A detailed analysis by the New York Times concluded the evidence strongly suggests Trump was grazed by the first of 8 bullets. Meanwhile, whistleblowers allegedly telling Senator Josh Hawley the Secret Service repeatedly denied offers from local law enforcement to use drones as part of the security plan for the rally.
The American people deserve to know the clear, hard, cold facts. We've got to get those for the public.
Next in their investigation, the FBI is seeking to interview former President Donald Trump, a standard practice. The FBI also releasing a statement following Director Wray's comments to Congress, saying they have always considered the shooting an attempted assassination. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins reporting for the National Desk, America's News Now.
Kayla, thank you. An important gauge for the Federal Reserve shows inflation is easing. The Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index dropped from 2.6% in May to 2.5% in June. Fed officials use this model to determine the trajectory of inflation, which still shows prices running above the bank's 2% target. But Fed Chair Jerome Powell has consistently said they would not wait until hitting the target to cut those rates. And the Fed board meets on Tuesday with a decision likely on Wednesday. The number of adults who say they are probably not going to have kids is growing. And the biggest reason for that, they say, is that they just don't want to. According to a new report from the Pew Research Center, 47% of adults under 50 years old say they're unlikely to have children. That's up from 44% in 2021 and 37% in 2018. 44% say they want to focus on other things. 38% say they're concerned about the state of the world, while 36% say they can't afford to be a parent. Boar's Head Provisions Company is now recalling more than 200,000 pounds of deli products for listeria contamination concerns. Affected items include packaged liverwurst, assorted hams, bologna, beef salami, and roasted bacon, among others. The recalled products have the establishment number 12612. If you have any of these products, dispose of them immediately or return them to the store for a refund. The newest shingles vaccination may double as a treatment for dementia. A new study published in Nature Medicine says that patients who received the vaccine experienced roughly 160 days without a dementia diagnosis when compared to those who received older shingles shots. Researchers did not give a reason for the correlation and said the study needed to be examined further. The CDC recommends that everyone get a 2-dose shingles vaccine when they turn 50. In your health alert, we are taking a closer look at a bill making its way through Congress right now that could help in the fight against obesity, a condition impacting a whopping 40% of American adults. Medical reporter Liz Bonas has more on what's in that bill.
Hey there, everybody. This act is called the Treat and Reduce Obesity Act, and it's getting a lot of support from those with chronic health conditions that know what a difference weight management can make. As an 11-year liver transplant survivor, Don Melillo knows that extra weight can contribute to fatty liver disease and lead to the need for a transplant.
Obesity right now, every 2 out of 3 adults are faced with obesity.
Don is supporting the Treat and Reduce Obesity Act, which aims to treat older Americans by expanding Medicare benefits for nutrition counseling, behavior therapy, and payment of newer weight loss drugs.
This act really opens the door to possibly stopping 1.2 million people once they reach the Medicare age this coming year to not receiving coverage for the drugs they need to fight obesity.
The point is, what's the return on investment is the bottom line.
Ohio Congressman Dr. Brad Winstrup supports this act as well. He says it's estimated it would save taxpayers as much as $245 billion in the first 10 years because you and your doctor could more easily prevent costly obesity complications rather than
Someone who's never seen the patient gets to decide what happens to that patient.
Pharmacist Dr. Manny, as he's known, of Ohio's Altev Community Pharmacy, says it's also, however, going to do something else, help take away the stigma of obesity.
We as a society, we're moving from seeing obesity as a weakness, unfortunately, of how people have portrayed it to be, and more of an actual pathophysiology. It's an actual condition that needs to be treated like one.
Dr. Manny says as we discover new treatments for obesity,
it's important that we allow our patients to take advantage of these. So any bill that supports that, I am first and foremost going to support that also.
Now, to make your voice heard, Don suggests you reach out to your local lawmakers. Let them know you'd like to continue to move this forward. With your health news, I'm Liz Bonus reporting.
All right, Liz, thank you. Coming up, what one man on a scooter in Seattle drove away with, taking car theft to a whole new level. We have reporters all across the country in your neighborhoods covering the issues that matter most to you. From teens arrested in the murder of a mother to a homeowner in California who caught a suspect on camera. We are taking the pulse of America, and we begin with a brazen theft in a Seattle neighborhood.
We just had someone try to steal our fire engine.
Fire engine 26 stolen from right here outside the Arrowhead Gardens apartments while her crew was treating a patient.
That's ridiculous. I can't believe that.
Seattle police tell us a man rode up on a scooter, then drove off with the fire engine, lights flashing, the siren blaring.
Shut the door. No, I didn't hear that.
Fire's requesting an expedited response. He did see a fire crew attempting to chase after him.
This is
He's got it.
not right. It's not right. Somebody drive off in a fire truck. I wonder if they know how to drive it.
Apparently not, since Seattle police tells us the thief did not get any further than about a block since he never disengaged the parking brake. Seattle police found and arrested a 22-year-old man rather quickly. His rap sheet goes back to his teenage years and includes 12 convictions for stealing cars, firearms, and other items. He's also got pending charges against him right now. One is for stealing a vehicle.
I mean, you're not safe nowhere.
At 3:30 last Sunday morning, homeowner Daniel G. heard a noise. He got out of bed and saw orange flames on the east side of his house. Daniel shouted fire and then got his wife and daughter to safety.
We were probably out within like 30 seconds, and as we looked, the entire whole side of the house, it was up in flames.
Daniel G. asked that we not show his face. Fire investigators first thought it was an electrical fire, but hours after the house fire south of Old Fig Garden was extinguished, Daniel checked his security video. He was shocked to see a stocky man walking down the street just minutes before the fire erupted.
It wasn't something that we caused, and someone came out to the house at 3:13 in the morning, walked up to the house and lit it on fire.
Fresno Fire, he says, changed the cause from electrical to arson. Daniel G. says there have been 4 arson fires in his neighborhood in the past 2 years. So far, no arrests.
We're going to rebuild, but the fear in the back of our head is, as we're rebuilding, is this guy going to come back?
In the span of one day, Columbus investigators arrest 3 teens, all charged with the murder of 29-year-old Alexis Stakely. 2 of the teens charged are 16 years old, and we're not naming them because they're minors. The third is 19-year-old Gerald Dowling. Police say one of the young teens showed up to CPD headquarters with his parents Wednesday and admitted to stealing Alexis' car.
And thankfully, right away, they said, "You're going to talk to the police." So we're very thankful for his parents for doing the right thing, right? As hard as that, I imagine, is for them to do.
During that interview, police say the teen admitted he was with 2 others looking for a car to steal, and that the other 2 he was with watched as he got into Stakely's car.
Our detectives were able to go to that other 16-year-old's residence and interview him. And during that interview, that 16-year-old admitted to his involvement as well as a lookout.
Well, some scientists think we may not have always been alone in the solar system, where life could have existed. When we come back. Was there ever any sort of life on Mars? That age-old question. A rock that was just closely analyzed by NASA's Perseverance rover could hold the answer to that question. A NASA scientist has determined the rock, known as Shayeva Falls, possibly has a biosignature. That means the composition or texture of the rock could have a biological origin. Scientists are not claiming to have discovered life on Mars, but they say there is potential there because the rock has features that are reminiscent of what microbes or living things might have left behind when Mars was warm and wet several billion years ago. And scientists say more study is needed, but it's awfully exciting. That does it for this edition of the National Desk. We do invite you to join us again tonight. Have a wonderful night and a wonderful weekend.